I was not coached enough to do it. But when I found your program, you gave me the directions. So this is very helpful because I wasn't by myself. Somebody was helping me. So it was number one for me. I was upset, but I was never hopeless. I was hoping that one day I can do it.
Yeah, and you did. Do you want to share with us what your score was on the exam?
It was 269.
Everybody, welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Takers. And today I've got one of my very favorite students to share a great story. Mila is a successful UBE student from February 2021. Hi, how are you?
Hello, Jackson. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You and I had a lot of phone calls while you were studying. This is easily the nicest of the calls we've had, don't you think?
Yes, I agree.
You have a great story just in your desire to push through and work and to pass the exam. This was not your first time taking the test, was it?
Yes, it was number 5 for me.
Yeah. And so obviously you've got an accent. I think our audience would like to know a little bit about your background and how you came to be taking the bar exam in February of 2021.
Yeah, so my GD is from Russia. So I came from Russia in 2006. And I did not plan to go to law school. I did not plan to become an attorney, but eventually I went to get my paralegal certificate from the college. And I started working in law firms since 2009. And doing my paralegal work, my attorney encouraged me, maybe you go to law school, maybe try to be my partner. This is how it all started. So I entered the Master of Laws University, and I was working full-time, and I studied for a year and a half, and I finished my master's degree. And since July 2018, I was taking the bar exams, every single bar exam I took. But I was working full time. I never stopped working. This was a problem for me to pass the bar because I didn't have enough time to study, to focus only on my studies. I had to work. I had to commute every day, and only weekends or maybe holidays were my study time. So I didn't have enough time to study. But with your program, I kind of learned more about law and kind of slowed down with my studies and went deeper than before.
You were very precise in working through all of this. And I don't want to minimize how challenging it is to take the bar normally. But when English is not your first language and you're working, there's a lot of things going on there. And it must have been discouraging to you at points along the way.
Yes, but for me, rule number 1 was never find any excuses. So if my English is my second language, I was kind of put it aside. I said, okay, this is what I'm doing. I never find any excuse. Being a foreign attorney, I'm equal to everybody, and I'll do my best every time. So this was my motto.
Yeah, it was a good motto to have. You didn't make excuses. And we pushed through a lot of things. We're going to talk about some of that. You decided that the uniform bar exam made sense. And as a foreign trained attorney, Washington State would allow you to take the test with your LLM. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
And do you live in Washington State? Yeah, so that was nice to have that extra piece. And we're going to talk in a minute about where you actually went to take the exam in February or to study for it beforehand. But how did you balance work and study? Because you worked really hard on the bar. You put in a lot of effort. How did that work for you?
Actually, so all 4 times I took bar before, I was trying to rush and go through the old programs. 3 times I took the big box bar review. And it was challenging because they want you to memorize the rules, the law, and I did not have time to memorize. For me, it was a big problem. And I did not do well because I did not memorize. I did not have enough time to go deep into the law. But this time around, I just slowed down and I started to understand the law, not just go quickly, but go deeper and understand how the law applies, what the facts can trigger some challenges or some other reasons law applied differently. And this would make a big difference because I slowed down and I trying to be more precise. And actually, I took time to all my lunches, I was doing the MBE questions. So I would make a rule every day. I went to the lunch during lunch break and I studied the MBE questions. I go through the questions, and weekends were my essays, lectures, mind mapping, and everything else.
Yeah, you had the MBE for lunch is what you're telling us. Now, you used a lot of the tools that we make available. One of them was PhotorReading. Can you talk a little bit about PhotorReading?
Yes, I was a little bit hesitant in the beginning, but after you explained how it works, I did it and I don't have any regrets. So it saved lots of time going through the lectures, through the materials, and I could have extra time doing my mind mapping, practicing. I think it's helped me a lot in the end.
Yeah, and you mentioned mind maps. Can you explain what a mind map is to our audience? They might not know.
Yes, mind mapping, it's basically drawings of your knowledge, understanding of the law. So you start from the basics and then you go to the elements and the different elements of the law so you can understand how law growing based on the different facts and different circumstances.
Yeah, and did that help you understand the relationships and keep the ideas better? And
Yes, yeah. And actually, with this bar review program is your program. I took it twice. So first time I took the bar in September 2020, and unfortunately for that time around, I did not have much time for the mind mapping. I did my lectures practicing, but I did not finish all mind maps. I thinking maybe it's not that important because I was hoping I would just will pass without them. And I did not pass the first time. So you told me you have to be more specific. You have to go deeper into the law and understand the law. So this time around, I very focused on my mind maps. I finished all mind maps and I was very, very specific about how I listened to your lectures, how I reflected them into my mind maps. And in the end, it was what make me pass the bar exam, I believe. Good picture of the law.
yeah, I think it does. It's a very powerful tool, and I know that you really began to incorporate it. One of the other tools that we offered that you used was the coaching calls. You and I had a number of coaching calls, one-on-one Zoom calls, and I know that some of those were very difficult. I pushed you hard, but one of the calls in particular near the end was pretty important, wasn't it?
Yes. So at least 2-3 days before the bar exam, I had very big problem with my MPTs because we went online and it was supposed to be online bar exam. And my skill to quickly go through the files and understand, remember the facts was very challenging to me. So and I was thinking, if I don't understand the MPT online, I will never pass the bar exam. So we had a call 2 days before the bar. And I was very concerned. And you told me just do what I tell you to do. Don't question it. Don't doubt it. Just go ahead and do it. And this was biggest breaking moment for me, I think. Next day after the call, I wasn't sure I can even do it. But next day, I sit down and I remembered all what you told me. And I did the MPT the first time. I did it on time. I did it very, very well. So it gave me hope. So this was the kind of the thing I was, okay, if I can do this MPT now, I can pass the bar exam.
Yeah. And the exam in Washington State was online. I want to talk about a little bit about that too, because I know that was a big deal after coming out of the fall of 2020 and all of the uncertainty. And now we've got the exam and it's online. How did you decide to approach the online part of the test?
I think the biggest challenge was the MPT. The essays were easy, it was the same as the in-person. MBs also was pretty easy because you just click the answer, but MPTs was the most challenging for me at least. Yeah. But I like the process, I like how it was handled, and it was good.
Great. Now, you actually left your normal home right before the exam. Can you tell us what you did before the test?
Yeah, so I was studying in my apartment. We're in the apartment, and I was hoping to stay here, take a bar, but we had a construction every day from 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 p.m. And one of the calls you told me, no, you cannot stay here. You have to go somewhere else. So then I made my mind, and I just made a plan to go to the house. And it was the best decision ever. So it was very quiet, peaceful, and I had to travel, but it was worth it.
Yeah, and I remember in our last calls when you were calling me from there, you just seemed so much more relaxed. It was very interesting how the change in environment worked. It just gave you a little more focus and a little more peace, didn't it?
Yeah, I was by myself, and I okay, this is me, this is my laptop, this is my bar exam. I can do it now, so I can do it.
Let's talk a little bit about the technology and taking the exam online. Did that work out all right for you? Did you have any problems or challenges there?
Actually, I had a very good experience. And I think one of the reasons why, because when we have a mock exam, I took it completely all 3 hours. I was practicing, I was trying every features I could. I wrote essays, I did MPTs. And actually, our bar gave us extra 3 hours of practice. So I used that time just practicing, understand the software and try all the features. So this is very, very helpful to me. and I didn't have any issues. So it was very smooth and convenient.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to take the test and not have to travel or be in a room or be able to sleep in your own bed and eat in your own kitchen and so on. So that's an advantage, I think. That's really.
I drank lots of coffee. I drank like whole pot of coffee first day. So I was drinking so much coffee, but it was good.
Okay, good. Now, another of the tools that we offered that you used were paraliminal recordings. Am I right about that?
Yes, I use Paraliminal Recordings. Yes.
And the paraliminals, for those of you that don't know, are audio recordings where you hear two different soundtracks in one in each ear, and they're designed to deal with specific topics that might be problems. Did you have any favorite paraliminals that you like to listen to?
So I think at the end was the Overwhelm. It was my favorite.
Yeah.
And besides the I'm still using the Holosync. Yeah, every night since 2020. I did not stop using Holosync. Every single night I'm using it, and I like it. It helps.
The audio meditation Holosync is part of the background of the paraliminals, part of the photo reading as well. And it's a great way to just, it meditates you. You don't have to sit and think about your breathing. It just calms you down and makes you clearer. And then you took our Abundance for Bar Study masterclass, right? Did that help you getting your mindset ready or your study process better?
Yeah, actually I remember the class came up just maybe 2 weeks before the September 2020. I did not have much time I used it, but I didn't have much time to understand how it works, but I was trying. But when I did not pass the September 2020, I used it. I really went into it, and I am doing 90 seconds induction every morning since September 2020, every day. Now it's 2021. I do the 90 seconds induction. It helps you calm your mind down and be yourself and be in your environment. And I'm using it. And I want to tell something to everybody. When taking the bar exam, between the sessions on online bar exam, I use the choosing the channels, creativity channel. It helped me a lot to be ready for the bar exam itself. So we had 4 sessions in total. And before each session, I used the creativity channel abundance class. It was very helpful.
That's great. And that's what we designed it for. And so that master class is a special way to help prepare yourself for the exam. I want to go back for a minute now and just talk about what it felt like when you didn't have success those first 3 times on the bar. Did you ever consider just giving up and forgetting about it?
Actually not, because I made my mind in the beginning, because I know my friends, maybe 50% of my friends who did not pass first time, and they gave up and never took it again. And now 2-3 years later, they're trying to get back in and trying to study, but it's very hard. So I was very disappointed. I was very frustrated, especially the first 3 times after I took the big box bar review. And because I was hoping that I will pass, but did not do my part, I think. I was not coached enough to do it. But when I found your program, so you gave me the directions. So this is very, very helpful because I wasn't by myself. Somebody was helping me. So it was number 1 for me. I was upset, sad, but I was never hopeless. I was hoping that one day I can do it.
Yeah, and you did. Do you want to share with us what your score was on the exam?
It was 269.
Yeah, that's good enough to get you into a whole lot of jurisdictions. Even as a foreign trade attorney, you could practice in New York with a 269.
Yes.
So how did that feel to you?
It feels great. But so when I saw my score on the screen on a day when I got my results, I was staring at the screen for at least 15 minutes. So I was thinking, if it's a mistake, it will go away. If it's a reality, it will be my score. So for 15 minutes, I was staring and I was waiting. But it stayed there. So it's okay, I passed now.
And what did your family think?
So my husband, my son were so excited. So my son gave me this card because he was like, "Are you serious? You passed?" So my family was very happy.
Yeah. I know that when you're studying for such a long period of time, it means missing out on some things with your family, some events and time together. And so your family is going through the process with you, aren't they?
Yeah, so they're part of my bar exam studies, especially my husband. He was by my side all the time, but sometimes he was trying to tell me, just take a break, don't study for a year. But I said, no, I have to study.
Yeah, and they must be incredibly proud of you to have reached this accomplishment. Not many people pass the bar exam, And certainly after a number of attempts, it gets harder and harder. And this past year has been probably the craziest year ever for the bar exam. So that's an amazing accomplishment. What do you plan to do now that you've gotten past the bar? I know you still got some NPRE work to do, but what's your plan when you become a member of the bar?
I've been working for the federal government for the last 3 years. So I want to stay with the federal government. For me, it's a public service. So I want to do helpful to the public. And I'm trying to find a way to use my law degree and my license now to be helpful to the public. So this is my goal. So I'm exploring different options. Right now, I'm still in the stage of exploring all my future steps, career steps.
Yeah, and it's an exciting opportunity, isn't it, to be able to look out there and say, here are all these different things. And of course, having a voice, having your voice in the bar, having a diversity of voices in the bar is a major part of what we try to do here. I know that there are people who will be watching this interview today, Mila, who will be in the situation that you were in a few years ago. They're discouraged. They've been trying. They're just not making any progress. What would you say to those people if you were talking to them?
So I would say the same thing I told myself, that I have to invest my time, invest my finances to the best program that could make my dream to come true. And you have to be very focused, very listening all the advices, and use all the tools available to you. And this program is the best for you to pass the bar exam, because you, Jackson, give all those possibilities and tools which nobody else does. This is the only bar review I ever heard of who give you everything to pass the bar. You just need to do your part, work, practice, and study.
I think that's great advice. I think that one of the things that I saw as your teacher was how much you wanted to learn, how willing you were to try things and to do things and to keep working at it, even when I push you hard to say, you could do more, you can do better, you can go deeper. You never objected to that. You always said, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back and work and make this better. And your work just kept getting better and better. That had to be really encouraging to you to see how you were improving as you went along, right?
Yes. And I think the hardest you were on me, the better I've become. Because when you don't make it easy and smooth and fun, it was a hard work that you gave me the push I needed to be there. So
we can smile about it now. But
I even was crying after one of the phone calls. I was crying. I'm like, what am I going to do now? It's like a week before the bar exam, and I'm crying because I don't know what to do. But 1 hour later, I got my all together, and I just do it next thing.
And I think that's one of the things that's going to make you such a terrific member of the bar. You are absolutely determined. You're so talented, and you care so much. And I think you put all of those factors together, you're going to be very special as a lawyer in the work that you do. And I don't know where you're going to come out with that effort to help the community and the public, but I know you're going to do something and it will be special. And I'm excited that we were part of that journey with you. I really appreciate that you would share your story with us today. I know that you will inspire and encourage so many people. There are people that sometimes say, English isn't my first language, so I just can't do it. What would you say to those people?
So I would say, forget about you being a foreign attorney. Just think as you are American and just do your best try, best job, you will make it. No excuses. It's never an excuse it wasn't an excuse for me. It was in the beginning, it did not work. So I just stopped doing any excuses. So don't waste your time on excuses. I
think that when I think back to you in the course, I will always think no excuses, because you never made an excuse for anything. We were doing a conference and the construction guys were just jackhammering away. It was chaos. I mean, it was total chaos. You wouldn't make an excuse. You're just like, okay, we're just going to keep going. And I think that quality is such a wonderful attribute to have when you're studying and going for the exam. I'm excited to see what happens for you going forward. And I want to thank you again. So glad you could be with us and share your story. I know a lot of people will be very inspired to hear what you had to say today. Any final thoughts you want to share with our audience today? My final thought, if you want to get your life back again after the bar, just do your best job ever and you can pass the bar and you can get your life back. And you heard that from a woman who got her life back.
I'm back 2 weeks ago, and I'm so happy about it.
That's great. It's good to see you smiling and happy. Look forward to seeing what happens to you next. And best of luck and good wishes to you. And to our audience, thank you for being with us. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I know that you'll be encouraged and inspired by Mila's story. So with that, we're going to sign off and say goodbye. Thanks for being with us, Mila.
Thank you. Good luck.